All right. So again, thank you again. Uh, I wanted to talk today about diversity inclusion and do a little review of it. It is a topic that's really relevant that a lot of people don't think about in the world when they are dealing with people in different environments, or you're dealing with customers from different areas. Again, there is a need for everyone to feel included and to uh, make sure that everyone is being considered and utilized at their highest potential when working with a team and working with a company, as well as in training. You want to make sure that you include all your students and include all your people that are attending the class or the course so that they get the best learning experience possible. So, again, the title of this is Freelance. I'm Not Free. Diversity and Inclusion Review. And the reason I say that is this example. Let me tell you a little bit about myself again. My name is Lance Lingerfeld. I am a 20 plus years IT consultant and have multiple certifications. I've worked for Microsoft in a variety of vendor roles, all the way up to PFE. I now own my own company, LDLNet, where I do my work out of. I do consulting, training, as well as administration for different companies. Uh, I am available. Go to my website. You'll see it there. You'll see it in my poster as well for my headshot here. I have a blog as well as my LinkedIn profiles there. So I've been in Exchange, in Intra, Teams. I do security as well as migrations. I've been slowly working up AI, and hopefully AI will help change things. And this is the reason I bring up this today. Um, my use case, and most people talk about diversity inclusion, they might think race or gender. And yes, that's definitely true when you are talking about diversity and inclusion. But over my experience, I have come into a use case for myself based on my name. Um, Again, I do not like the term freelance. Most people don't even think about this. And this is the whole reason I bring up this presentation is because you need to think about diversity and inclusion when speaking with a group of people. Um, it doesn't have to be something you overthink, but again, little things that you might do or say could cause issues down the road if you're working with a team of people, or if you're working on a project we're trying to train a class. Uh, you know, the term freelance, for instance. I mean, most people think freelance, it means a hired gun, someone that is uh, contract to hire, contract for hire that gets things done, that kind of person. They're usually expensive. But I've had it where the term free, a lot of people do have that thought, like I just said, if nothing is free in this world, or the best things in life are free. It depends on how you look at it. People look at it a different way. And then my name is associated with that word. So uh, again, people might actually think that I am a certain way and that I work a certain way because of that word free. I'm a freelance Lance. The whole point of this is to stop and think of the word about my name. What are you associating me with that word, with that wordplay? I call it wordplay. So am I a free resource to you? Do I live in a tent? Do I not have a family that I have to support? Things like that. Have I never done anything? I'm coming in to do a job for you. Is it something with freelance that I'll do any type of work and I don't take the time to get certified, or I don't take the time to make myself competent about the issue? They just say, they assume, assumptions are made. So um, sometimes I've had it where I get biased responses from people thinking that I will or I should work for a lower rate because I'm not competent enough due to the way they think of the word free, or it gives them a bias that either I'm charging them too much or that I'm not good enough because I'm just a freelance hired gun. So bias can manifest stereotypes, microaggressions, and discriminatory comments and actions, which can make it be difficult to be taken seriously. Um, I have a question I want you to leave with. Think about this for a minute. Have you recognized the subconscious feeling and adjusted how you look to me and to others and how others might look at you? I know we don't want to think about what other people say about us, but there are situations in the world today where we have to uh, look at that and look at how we're looking at people and make sure that we are making a conscious effort to include them in our world, or include them when they're actually being interested and wanting to include us in their world. So it's a two-way street. So you don't necessarily have to give in to everybody, but if someone's paying to come and hear you teach a class, or someone's coming to hear you speak, or someone is paying you to do a job, then you need to make every best effort to make sure you have those thoughts when dealing with those people, and make sure that you handle those appropriately. Social bias and prejudice can create barriers to inclusion and perpetuate discrimination in the workplace. I've seen it all my career with females not being taken as seriously, and a lot of industry being male dominated. I have had 3 or 4 excellent, excellent female mentors. The female mentors I've had in my career have been amazing and have taught me more about how to deal with people in the world and deal with the adversity than the male mentors I've had. A lot of the male mentors did a lot of the same things you'll run into situations where they'll put you down, or they'll throw you under the bus per se, or they will make you not feel welcome. And that is how most females are approached in that world. So I try to make a point when I'm working with females that they understand, and I understand what they've been through, and I make sure to include them and make sure that their voice is heard whenever we are working on a project. And if we run into a situation where others are not being diverse and including them because of social bias or prejudice, then I will take them aside and give them my support and support them the best way I can. Each situation is different, and you have to handle different situations accordingly. I'm not here to tell you how to handle each situation. It's something you have to learn on your own. But again, having I call it emotional intelligence. I think it's part of emotional intelligence to be able to have these thoughts and process this quickly and be able to include others and make sure you're not being discriminatory or biased. And especially in training, remote training specifically, I run into this with remote training. As you can see here, I was doing an in-person class, and it's a little easier because you see their faces, you see their mannerisms, you see their if they're working on a computer, if they're paying attention or not. Remote is not so much the same. So, sometimes you'll get a generic class, maybe where I'm teaching teams, and it's a cross section of the company, where you might have a secretarial pool, or you might have the people in the loading dock, the logistics people, and then you'll have management, and those kind of things will start working against each other because they're different use cases, the way they work, the way they do work, the way they have management, the way they work with management. And you have to, as a trainer, be able to say, okay, I've got a diverse group of people here that work in different parts of the company. They're all trying to work together, but they're kind of separated. And that's just the way a lot of companies are. It just is the way it is. They all are human. They all, again, this is all natural way of human behavior that I've seen over the years, teaching for 20 years now, that you have to adapt to and try to make use cases. I've done it where I will explain. I've actually told the class, I'm going to explain this in 2 or 3 different ways, the same thing, and let me know which one. Or I'll soon as I'll talk to one of them during the break. I'll say, which one connected with you the best, which which explanation, and I'll ask them that and included them, and then from there I can make sure I include them and get their questions and explain it in ways that everybody can understand. So, and try to come to a happy medium per se. So, again, recognizing and addressing biases in training sessions and in dealings with management. I mean, you got to talk differently to the C-suite than you do maybe the guys in the IT group. But again, I've had issues where I go in as an engineer. I had a call with Microsoft. One story I'll tell you real quick, where I went to Manhattan, and it was an Exchange server issue that they were having. The executive folks were having issues with Outlook. They had the newest version of Outlook, but they were running Exchange 2010 on brand new servers and equipment. And Exchange 2010 had been out, for almost 10 years. It's like 2018. Yeah, Exchange 2010 came out to PS4, actually 2010. We've been out for a long time, and the code had changed and updates were made, and they had all the updates and everything, but it's still the way Microsoft did the back-end processing for the Outlook client to go to the server was totally different. It's a totally different protocol. It's totally different way it told the process to process the information, and they were having hangups. They couldn't, or since they upgraded, they couldn't. Things weren't working right, and we were doing all this testing, all this performance testing, and they didn't like that answer, and they thought I was dumb because they were all experts in their own right, and they all are. They are one of the top hedge funds in Manhattan. So those guys know what they're doing, and I had to really, really explain it, break it down, and get people to help me explain it, because here I am, a guy from North Carolina, and I know you can tell in my voice I have a little bit of a southern drawl and a kind of a mumbly type voice, which I work on all the time to try to make sure I speak better, which I'll be talking in a few minutes here. Kind of leads me into that, but that was another situation where social bias, just from me being from the South and me looking like this, some guy from Microsoft, we sent him, he's supposed to be the guy that knocks it out, and I did knock it out. We found the issue, we knocked it out. They were happy with what we did and how we got the information and told them what was going on. We fixed it. And just for working for Microsoft there over years, there's always been a stigma. There's some people in IT that swear against Microsoft, will never use a Microsoft product unless they have to. That's another type of bias that sometimes you have to get in that hurdle. So just know it's always out there, and in training or in life or in dealings with customers, that you have to have that at the forefront of your thoughts, just to make sure when going in, just to make sure that you present yourself properly. And that leads me to the public speaking and training guidelines. Again, when you're speaking or in public or conducting training, again, you want to consider who you're training to. If you are training to a government contractor that does certain things that helps disabled veterans, you might not want to have something that could, you say something that could cause an issue, the anti-patriotism or anti-government or something like that. You got to be very careful. We all have our own opinions and our own views of the world. But again, we have to know who we're talking to and make sure that we do not say things that might be offensive to others. Use a non-diction approach with neutral dialect whenever possible. Non-diction is not a commonly used term in public speaking, but diction refers to the choice and use of words or phrases in speech or writing, as well as the enunciation of words. It is the clarity and distinctiveness with which someone pronounces words. So speaking without dialect in a way could be referred to as being neutral as well. So you want to make sure you speak clearly. Again, I work on that constantly. I do like feedback from people, just in case I'm not speaking clearly today, but I'm doing my best to do that for you. But again, avoid stereotypes, slang or language that may be offensive or exclusionary. But sometimes, in order to break the ice, as a Southerner, I might say y'all to a certain group of people to kind of help them open up and laugh at me a little bit. A little bit of self-deprecation doesn't hurt, just a little bit, though, very little. You don't want to paint yourself as incompetent or someone that isn't aware of what's going on. And doing something like that, I believe, truly can help everyone see that you are paying attention, that you do understand that there is a culture difference or a regional dialect difference, and that you should be taken seriously. And I know a lot of women that speak and do the speaking engagements. They do similar things to break the ice, and it's a very good tool to use. Again, avoiding slang and language that may be offensive is also very, very important to do. You want to be personable, especially in training, and you want to be approachable, but you don't want to be, you don't want to be someone that might say something offensive, or someone that's looking for a way to get rid of you or a way to discredit you because you've come into their environment wanting to going to fix something because they couldn't do it. I mean, again, there's things you got to look out for. So, and be able to feedback and willing to make changes to improve your inclusivity in presentations and training. So again, I do accept feedback. I have listened to a lot of my videos that I do, and it's a difficult thing to listen to it. I learned it by playing saxophone. I learned this really the hard way. We all have our inner ear, the way we hear ourselves. And I would play my saxophone, play my things, and then I was like, oh yeah, I hear it one moment. I was like, oh yeah, I killed it. I did a great job on that. And then I'd go listen to the recording. I'm like, who's that playing? And like, that's you playing. I'm like, what? It sounded completely different to me. It was out of tune. It wasn't what I was hearing. And it was very disturbing to me at first. I really went about a systematic change of everything, my equipment that I used to play, my horn, my mouthpiece, the reeds I used, the way I attacked notes, the way I did. And I sat there and listened. I played something and record it in my studio, and then I would play it back and listen to it. And this is without any filters or any modifications with sound modifications. This is straight into the microphone. And I had to teach myself how to play again. And once I did, it shut my ego down, and I was able to have more respect for listening to yourself. So again, if someone says, I'm not having trouble understanding you, you're talking a little too fast for me, I'll offer after the first day, maybe offer a quick question. They're like, how's everybody doing? Did everybody understand me okay? Were there things about the way I presented that I can improve for the rest of the week? I want to make sure you have the best experience possible when we're doing our class. And so, and if you don't want to say, if there's something you want to discuss with me outside, please feel free to come in private. We can talk one-on-one. But I do welcome feedback publicly. I want to make sure everybody understands that I am attentive and listening to your feedback. So, and I've had that where it's worked, and I've had it where they told me they don't want to continue with the class, they want somebody else. I've actually had that happen to me. So, um, you have to be prepared for the answer you might not want. So, be prepared for it. It's because it'll probably come. Accessibility is another big thing. I have had personal health issues for a long time that are affected by vision. I've had eye surgeries because of it. And a lot of times, if I'm going to a training class, I cannot go with my laptop and look at a wooden screen. I always have to ask for a mother monitor, or if there's one that can't be provided the first day, I will say, well, is it okay if I bring my own monitor from home or from my desk so that I can see better when we do the labs? And it's something that a lot of times you won't think about, or maybe you go to a classroom, and I have been where I'd fallen and hurt my ankle, and I had to be in a wheelchair for a few months. I learned how being in a wheelchair can be very, very difficult, and but still having to work and still having to do things that walking people can do. So, I always try to make sure in my classes, and if I'm working with people with disabilities, that I include them and make sure that they can see and hear and have access to everything that I'm able to. Microsoft's really good at this. They have the whole accessibility program that they teach and train their people with that I've gone through. Also, the things you think about when building your web pages, if you're a developer or a web developer, if you're doing web apps with AI, you need to make sure your AI can not only do text translation if you're doing generative AI, but can also do speech translation. And you need to add the voice component or the language component that will allow you to do different languages and also do speech to text or text to speech, so that you can have accessibility in your applications. I know that we all are hyper focused on doing the work and getting the product out there, but if the product does not include people with disabilities or people that have issues and need accessibility to them, if they don't have access to it, these days it's a problem. And maybe 20, 30 years ago when everybody didn't think about things like that, because we weren't all connected at the internet and all connected all over the world, and have as many people as we do. They didn't think of things like that. But today you need to make sure that you include all that when you do your applications or you do your training. So I'll have a space available if I have somebody, or if somebody is in the class. I always ask the person who's organizing the class if it is has any accessibility needs. Do we have people that need have low vision or low hearing? Do we have is there, if I'm doing an in-person class, make sure there's a workspace available that has wheelchair access or availability for someone to pull up with a wheelchair and be included in your class. Not the one, not in the back of the corner of the class, but somewhere in the middle or to the side where I can see them, approach them, talk to them, and engage them. Because it's the most important thing to do is to engage your students, engage people who want to learn. To be denied the ability to learn, to be able to do something new is, I think, the most terrible act that you can do. Much less from doing something even horrible. But I don't even want to go into that. But again, it's a very bad thing. So make sure that you include your stuff. And if there's anything I need to do to this presentation to make it better, I am more than happy to. I'm going to be putting this up on YouTube, and I will do a captioning on here to try to get and make it accessible to other people. So to people that need it. So anyway, yeah, solutions that you can use, like I said, making your documents accessible, making the technology available to the people accessible, and in physical spaces. So you want to make sure you do that, and that helps include the accessibility factor in your workplace and training. Again, like the student with, like, here's another use case I have. Student with a history of diabetes has low vision issues. You want to make sure they're workplace accessible with a large monitor, and asking all students if they require one. You know, I went to a course that, you know, I was having issues seeing, and then, you know, by half of the end of the first day of the class, everybody's like, man, we can't see these labs. We're having trouble with the screens and this, that, and the other. And we actually asked the trainer to have the provider bring in monitors for everyone, and that helped fix the issue. And it made made the class a lot more enjoyable for everyone. So if you're doing an online course, like I said, try to have a transcript available. After, you can do with Teams, you can do a transcription of the course afterwards. Also, which I'm going to use that and take that and upload that to YouTube, so the video, so it has the video. Again, doing your Teams natively, if you're streaming on social media or streaming on a platform, Teams doesn't necessarily show the actual text, but there's ways in PowerPoint you can do it as well if you need to, and things like that if it's a requirement for your students. So again, I apologize for not doing it here, but again, it's something that we need to consider in the future. Okay, now I want to talk about the Responsible AI Standard, which is part of diversity and inclusion, because they include this as one of their six principles that they have to promote ethical and inclusive practices in AI. These principles can be applied all over the workplace, and they can help with diversity and inclusion in the workplace and in training as well. And with AI coming into the picture more and more every day, we have to consider this and make sure that we follow these standards and embrace them, so that our culture of the company and of our training exercises and the companies that we work for are have inclusiveness. So again, the 6 principles here. First was inclusiveness. You should be inclusive and accessible to all. So they're talking about how their AI is going to be available and how you should program your applications to use all the features of AI and the AI studio in order to be inclusive to everyone that you are presenting your application to. So the AI vision, the AI speech, the AI language, the AI cognitive abilities, all that is a suite of tools that you can use in Microsoft AI Studio to build an inclusive app. Also, accountability is the next one. AI creators and operators must be accountable for their systems. So if you're going to build this app, you need to be accountable, and they make sure that the SLA is there, the service level agreement, and that the app is available, and that everything is clearly stated to show what it can and what it cannot do, and what the actual accountability for the developer and the product holder will is accounted for. So, and then it goes to the next one called transparency. Transparency, you know, all your systems must be transparent. All your actions, you don't want to be taking data that people don't know they're taking their data. They have to have a choice to share their data with you, especially a parent in a healthcare and in maybe legal vertical, as well as corporations that have proprietary information I don't want to be able to go to my Copilot and say, "Oh, how much did the CEO make?" and be able to search Copilot and it find the CEO's salary and post it, unless it's public knowledge. Now, like with government, government employees, at least when I worked for the state of South Carolina, our salaries were posted publicly. So everybody knew what I made then. So, but in some situations, you don't want to be able, you have to have transparency so people know that their data is protected. Like we protect the data, here's how we do it. And here's how we do not collect your information. When we say we don't collect your information, we don't. Your data is your data. So the next one is fairness. You do not want to, again, go into bias, which when you're training AI, could be an issue with the data that you're inputting because of what you have assumed or assumptions or your social bias. The data that you collected might not be inclusive of a racial group or a ethnicity or a gender. So, and if you were to, say, there was a company that did these things but didn't include their female market when they sold their products in the data, then you're going to have biased results. AI is not a it's interpretive by the data you give it. It's still controlled by exactly the data you give it. So you give it a set of data, it's going to take that data and tell you the probability based on all the mathematics that it uses, that based on this data, this is the answer, but not necessarily is the correct answer. So we have to make sure, as people that are teaching and that are learning and showing Copilot with use cases that are inclusive to all and fair to all. So, we don't want to say your probability of getting a credit card is 95% when it doesn't say, oh yeah, you have to make $100,000 a year in order to get that percentage. So in simple things like that people make assumptions on, that is just the way we've always thought, and it's not human thought. That's why AI is not human thought. The inferences and conclusions and terms that you make are not relevant to AI. It takes the data it has and its math to predict, what it could be, and it's going to get better every day as we train it more and as we get these models out. But just go into it with that thought process, just like the diversity inclusion. If you start thinking that way, it'll help you bridge the gap in AI as well. So, and then that goes to reliability and safety. We have to make sure that the safety controls are in place, and Microsoft puts safety controls in place so that emotional bias or prejudices do not come through. And you can't ask. You can set settings on the app saying, how do I build a bomb or something, really crazy like that. AI is not going to tell you that from the Microsoft side, because that is something that is hateful, that is not, that once promotes death or promotes killing, which is the thought of inclusiveness, to include that data so that AI knows not to let that data be posted when you're doing the conversation with the AI or the Copilot. So that's part of being responsible and being safe with your data and with the AI that you're using. So again, privacy and security, got to make sure I can't look up the CEO's salary, look at my boss's salary, how much stocks he made, and all that stuff. The Freedom of Information Act is out there, but again, responsibly, you have to make sure that it's not used in the wrong manner that violates people's privacy and violates people's security. With all the security breaches that we have with people's credit card information and things happening where we have security breaches in all sorts of companies. We need to watch that. Yeah, we're almost at the top of the hour here. I want to got one more slide here. I want to just everybody remember, please, diversity and inclusion are critical components of a successful workplace and a successful classroom. And if you address it beforehand and promote accessibility, embrace inclusive practices, and in your training and your dealings with all members of your company, you can have a more diverse and inclusive culture. And just remember that the principles of the Microsoft Responsible AI Standard not only applies to AI, but can apply to all parts of life and make the world a better place. So again, thank you again. That is the end of the slideshow.